From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a big afternoon of Afternoons LALATE from the shores of Santa Monica, California, with your fourth stimulus check update of 2022. A lot of breaking news today about your Build Back Better Act and the big checks at issue. But a new check released overnight. It's $6,500 check. And how do you get it? I have it in today's recording. Also brand new is the big $15,000 to $80,000 check. Have you gotten that? I'll have the latest details on that in today's recording as well. And then that MSC check. Wow, we have a lot of money that is coming at the same time. Plus, we have breaking news today about the Build Back Better Act, brand new overnight. The latest countdown for that student loan debt forgiveness. It's 7 stimulus. It's just a few days away. The mortgage industry got bad and worse this week. But what about the situation for stagflation? What about the situation for interest rates? It's all about your SS300. Major developing details on that front tonight as well. We have a new update about that CR, and then we have a new update about where this economy is going. It's heading to recession. Of the latest details why in today's brand new recording. Plus, we'll be looking at what's going on with 6 stimulus and that allegiance of Joe Biden, France, and Germany. Is it falling apart? And what did the president say about oil in the last 24 hours? Boy, we got a lot in today's recording and a lot of breaking news going into the weekend and next week as well. Third stimulus MSC checks landing, number 1. Fourth stimulus checks landing, $15,000 to $80,000 landing. And then also landing a brand new $6,500 check. If you got it last night, congratulations. You got the details as a member, congratulations. If you haven't, it's in today's recording announced by the president in the last 24 hours. It's all breaking news across the land. Plus, we'll be looking at what comes up next from the president, what comes up next from Build Back, and what comes up next from SS300. What's coming up next on this channel is Afternoons LA. The incredible details start right here, right now, from Santa Monica, California. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a big day, and boy, a lot of breaking news across the board with a brand new check. For choice of Santa Monica, California, I'm excited for all the news, and that big check is breaking news. $6,500 new fourth stimulus check announced March 31st, and I have the latest details on it today from the shores of Santa Monica, California. Then we'll be going over that $15,000 to $80,000 check that's landing as well. Then we'll be going over those big MSC checks, and then, of course, the situation crippling 6 stimulus and also 7 stimulus, that student loan debt forgiveness, and also the elements of this stimulus, that raising your benefits based upon inflation before interest rates reduces it too quickly. All those details and more as we go into a big afternoon's recording from the shores of Santa Monica, California. But first, we have a preview of all the big money coming up tonight in prime time in Evenings LA. It's a big broadcast tonight, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Where are we right now? Well, the Build Back Better Act, the fourth stimulus recon, is currently in the Senate, and it pays about $15,000 a check. So let's go over a review of those checks featured tonight in primetime on Evenings LA. And those incredible checks in there pay a lot of money. What is that first cluster? Well, that first cluster has in there hazard pay. For my earned income tax credit 1 more year. My essential workers. $4,000 of elder care. $4,000 of care for young children. The $3,600 for the children as well. The $550 check for the college students for the Pell Grant. And then the $12,500 for the purchase of a new electric vehicle. Wow. The first add-on of checks of the Build Back Better Act, remember there's 3 clusters and 3 add-ons, is $25,000 for the purchase of your first home. How do you get it? It's on Evenings LA in prime time tonight. Tune in at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Home repairs and paid leave in that second cluster, but wait up, hold up. Yes, home repairs was taken out and sent out as a new check in just a few hours ago. How do you get it? It's coming up in just a second. Paid leave, how much is that? That's a lot. $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 or more per year. and it could be upwards of 4 to 6 weeks per year. That is $5,000 to $6,000. Wow. Then that second add-on of checks is $250 billion of free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. How do you get these big checks? Tune in tonight on Eden's LATE in prime time. That third cluster is seniors, and then free internet. Lots of checks there. Free internet for all. Farmers checks, independent contractors checks, and then senior checks. Lots of checks for you. Dental, vision, hearing care, lowering the eligibility age of Medicare, and the Medicaid gap fix, which is par for the course when we're talking about adding checks to the Build Back Better Act. The other checks that they vowed that they would add in there are MSCs, monthly stimulus checks, IRS. Who gets it? Single individual, $75,000 less, you get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you get it. Double it. Family 4, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, you get it as well. So says the senators to the viewership of this channel. $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter for up to 6 months. Who else gets it? And what else do you need to know about those checks? Well, they're all featured tonight in Eden's LATE in prime time. Tune in. I'll have the latest details on that at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. But the breaking news as we go into all the details today is that out of nowhere, a $6,500 fourth stimulus add-on check was announced by the President of the United States March 31st, and I immediately delivered to the members of this channel that night. Let's go over the details on that right where we are right now. This is breaking news, folks. March 31st, the President of the United States announced that a $6,500 stimulus check is landing. Let's go over the details of it, and it's fascinating. It's law, number one. Number two, done by Joe Biden and the executive branch, does not need Congress. Number three, it is available. Number four, it's nationwide. Number five, number six, the eligibility is just like a stimulus check. Single individual, $75,000 less. You can get a married couple, $150,000 less as well. So what is this check? Well, you got a preview of it just a second ago. It was a check that was supposed to be in the second cluster of the Build Back Better Act at weatherizing your home. Yes, he took it out and he made it law. How did he do it? Because he had existing law and he just funded the money and told that agency to pay accordingly. So how do you get this money and what is it? It is called the Home Weatherizing Check. And the Home Weatherizing program is nationwide. The check is $6,500, but here's good news. In some states, they've raised the money up as high as $12,000. If you're a middle-class to low-income family, you generally qualify. That income qualification just went over. How do you get it? Well, as soon as the president made that announcement, I searched high and low. That announcement in a press conference about gasoline. During the press conference, no less than 3 sentences were spent on it. And as soon as I heard the magic word check, he actually said grant, which means free money. I immediately looked high and low to find it. Brian Deasy, his economic council member, announced it the same day, and I immediately featured it in the membership newsletter. The link to become a member is at the top of the channel, the pinned comment. So what are you going to do? You're going to go right into that membership newsletter tonight if you're a member, and you go right into the Weatherizing Home Grant. It will send you to the national website of the federal government where grants like this are located. Then you pull up your respective state, like Alabama, and then you look for the words weatherizing home, and there it is. You click the link and you go in and apply. Now, if there is a new application sent up at a later date from the federal government, I'll feature it for you then as well. But this is the one from the federal government. Congratulations. Now, an $80,000 check, yes, $15,000 to $80,000 check from 4 stimulus also has become a law. That was not made law on March 31st. No, that was made law 5 weeks ago. And viewers of the show has gotten, on average, $60,000. How do you get it? It's coming up in just a second. Also, third stimulus, MSC checks are paying out, and viewers are getting on average $2,000 a month for 12 months. How do you get it? It's coming up in also a second. But let's go over the breaking news about Build Back Better Act, because we have a lot of breaking news on this as well. The President of the United States, less than 24 hours ago, addressed the American people about the situation on the energy crisis and the price of gasoline and said that is why you need to pass the Build Back Better Act. Good. So in announcing the $6,500 grant, he again name-checked the Build Back Better Act. Good. He gave it another push. What also happened in the last 24 hours on this? The economy added 431,000 jobs in the month of March, despite concerns that potentially the economy is slowing. But were the numbers good? I don't think they were. Unemployment rate declined 3.6%, which was less than estimates anticipated. And the first quarter did add 1.7 million jobs, but here's what's at issue, is that the economists were looking for bigger numbers on payroll and less jobless numbers, and they came in weaker. That is good news for Build Back Better, because it's basically saying the economy is not doing as good as many think it is. You need Build Back Better. The data the day before that also supported Build Back Better Act was consistent along the same lines, and that was the payroll services numbers released on March 30th. Those numbers showed that the growth was less than expected, and that the GDP came in 6.9% when Wall Street is looking at 7% growth of our economy. Now that's the second economic data that's also staggeringly not as good as anticipated. The third data was the day before, March 29th, which was the housing numbers. The housing numbers showed that the housing demand, which is the number of homes sold, was down for the fourth consecutive month in a row. This is as the 30-year fixed mortgage rose to its highest level since 2018. Again, another bad economic data. Amongst all this, Joe Manchin addressing a series of people at a luncheon over the last weekend, saying he wants to do the Build Back Better Act, and then Sam Runyon, the communications director to Joe Manchin, saying willing to do it. Takeaway right now on today's afternoon's LALATE is that the economic data is supporting passing Build Back Better Act. One, the unemployment claims, new unemployment claims released on Thursday was about 200,000+. That's not a good number, folks, because that was the number right before we went into the pandemic about March 2020. And that is not a particularly good number, because guess what? Since early 2022, we had a better number. So the number's starting to go back up again. New unemployment claims, first-time unemployment claims going back up. That's the first bad number. The mortgage number, the mortgage rate going to its highest level of 40 years, and that is bringing down home sales 4 months in a row. Number three, the auto sales are going to their lowest levels in nearly a year and a half. Also a bad number. And now when we look at the unemployment number, which should be improving, meaning getting it smaller, less people unemployed, it's not improving as well as people think it is. So these are all bad economic data, which signals a good reason to pass a Build Back Better Act. We have breaking news about that CR. The President of the United States had asked for another CR, or another funding bill for COVID, and he may get it, but it won't have stimulus in there, at least not yet. The negotiations made a big news statement last night as Chuck Schumer and Mitt Romney announced that they had a deal to give the president some more money for COVID, not as much as the president wanted. So, not to say much of anything about that, because it's not a bill, it's not a law, and the president may reject it because he may want more money for that CR. Remember the CR that passed 3 weeks ago got county stimulus in there across the board. Let's look at the breaking developing details of that SS300. SS300 was Joe Biden's promise to raise your benefits up to $300 more per year, or $200 more per year, by swapping COLA for inflation. COLA is your current benchmark for benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, and wearable benefits. And in running for president, and then as president-elect, he made this as part of his platform, swapping COLA for inflation. Inflation tracked at 8% in December last year, then January at 8%. I had predicted that all last year. And where is inflation right now? It's likely a little bit hotter. The inversion curve continues to be inverted. What is it? A shorter Treasury note is getting a higher interest rate than a longer Treasury note. Doesn't make sense. You go to a bank, you get a CD, for example, certificate of deposit. Let's say you want to put some money away for 6 months. It shouldn't pay as much or more than something you're putting away for 20 years. It should pay less, but it's inverting. Inversion signals recession. So what's the breaking news today? A lot of Wall Street analysts, the vast majority, I should say, are now saying that Jay Powell will do 2 interest rate spikes of 50 basis points at the next 2 FOMC meetings. OMG. Yeah, we've been talking about this. Jay Powell had said he was going to do quarter. Then he got a big push back from Bullard and Wallace and other Fed governors underneath him saying, your quarter basis point was too weak in March, Jay. You need to do something more aggressive. That's not good for SS300 because you don't want inflation dropping too fast. Well, here's the breaking details today for April 1st, 2022. Number one, most Wall Street analysts and myself agree that Jay Powell's now going to do 2 interest rate spikes at a half basis point in the next 2 FOMC meetings, and then go back down to a quarter. This will likely bring down your inflation faster at potentially a 6%, not 8% pivot in less than 30 days from now. That is why Joe Biden needs to make the swap from cola to inflation right away. Joe, make the swap from cola to inflation right today. Just lock in that $200 more per month, because inflation, if it drops to, let's say, 6% in less than 30 days from now, then that would not be another $200 more per month. That may be $175. So Joe Biden needs to make that swap from cola inflation right now before that inflation comes down too quickly. The other part of the equation that's breaking news today is that some analysts believe that the Federal Reserve is choosing between inflation and recession. That either you're going to reduce inflation and get yourself a recession, or you're going to leave inflation higher and forego and avoid a recession. I agree. Let me tell you the breaking news on this front today. Many analysts are now saying you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have both. You can't lower inflation and also have no recession. You either choose whether you want to have inflation or you want to choose whether you're having recession. And many of the analysts now believe that Jay Powell is sending us into recession to get us to lower inflation. My analysis is we already are in recession. Yes, I have that later in this video. But that's what's important on that front today for that SS300. Now let's go over some of those numbers that also came in today, which was that gasoline and grocery prices surged 6.4%, the highest price point surged since January of 1982. These are horrible surging numbers. Big surging numbers mean Jay Powell's going to come in more aggressively. And then the yield curve inversion continues to happen with a 5-year Treasury note higher than the 30-year Treasury note. Last time that happened, 2006, we went to recession. The data continues day after day as economist Moham El-Rarian says that cost of living crisis is hit here, and he among the people who said you either choose inflation, you choose recession. The Fed is choosing recession. I agree. So there you are right now on that front across the board. But there's a lot of other things that are happening right now today, and those elements are that student loan debt forgiveness, 7 stimulus, coming up in the second half of this video. March 2nd, Joe Biden. March 2nd, Joe Biden will have the determination to forgive student loan debt or not. What will he do? I'll have the latest details in the second half of this video. Then we have Joe Biden's comments during that press briefing about the oil situation. Is the president going to reduce your price of oil or is he not? What happened to that deal with Iran that was supposed to drop your oil to its lowest price point of a generation? Is that deal off? And what does that mean for 6 stimulus? It's coming up in the second half of this video. But also coming up in the second half of this video, the big details, not only with 6 stimulus, 7 stimulus, and 5th stimulus, but the big new checks. Yes, we're going to be going over those big checks. The $15,000 to $80,000 checks, live now for 5 weeks. The new $6,500 check now live in the last few hours. And then the big MSC checks. Yes, those MSC checks from 3rd stimulus across the land. It's a big Afternoons LA broadcast from the shores of Santa Monica, California. We have a lot coming up. But first, here's a little bit about the member community page. Get your pen and paper ready for the second half because I got big checks for you. If you're not a member, go to the top of the channel and become a member. See you back in 60 seconds as Afternoons LA continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues in the big second half of a big afternoon's LA. A lot of breaking details today, folks, across the land. We're going to go over that 7th stimulus, the student loan debt forgiveness, what's going to happen, and why that May 2nd date is so big. We'll be looking at that interest rate inversion curve and why it's big for that SS300 and 5th stimulus. We'll be looking at the mortgage rates and why that mortgage rate signals that Build Back Better Act will get done. And then we're going to look at the big exciting details of those big 4th stimulus checks have landed. $15,000, $80,000 checks, $6,500 checks, and MSCs. We got a big second half, and we have a preview of tonight's evening's LA in prime time. What a show we'll have tonight. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, for today, April 1st, I'm glad you're joining me. Across the land, we have a lot to go over, and I hope the weather's good where you are. Let's go over the details right now as we go into the big second half of this big broadcast today. 4th stimulus, 3rd stimulus. Wow. Where did that come from? Out of nowhere, no less than 3 different types of checks have now landed. Let's go over all the details across the board. Let's start with the most recent. On March 31st, 2022, the President of the United States had an Oval Office announcement about what he's doing with the energy situation with releasing new barrels of gasoline. Now, gasoline doesn't have anything to do with a stimulus check for you, but in that announcement, he mentioned a stimulus check. And I looked, and it is actually live. In fact, it was confirmed by his head of his economic council, Brian Deasy, hours later. What is this big check? Number 1, it is law. Number 2, it's done by the President of the United States. He did not need Congress. Number 3, it's $6,500. But there's a catch. In some states, it's actually been raised up to as high as $12,000. Number 4, it is an add-on to Build Back Better Act. And number 5, you need to pounce and get this big check. As soon as the president announced it on March 31st, I immediately featured it in the membership newsletter for members of this channel within just hours. That's how quickly I move. That's how quickly you should move. So how do you get it? Become a member. Let's go over what this check is right now. It is $6,500, but again, in some states, they raise it up even higher. Number 2, it is called the weatherizing check. Yes, the weatherizing check. You may have seen earlier in this video or in other videos where Build Back Better second cluster has money to weatherize your home. This is that. Joe Biden, for the second time in less than a month, has taken a provision out of Build Back and put it as a standalone to send you the money. Wow. Number 3, the income qualification is about the same as a stimulus check. Single individual, $75,000 less, generally, you can get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, yes, you can get it. It has to be generally in a low-income family household, which is that type of zone. And number 3, it includes people who are on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, and veterans benefits. Finally, it includes you if you're a homeowner. It's huge. So how do you get this big money? You become a member. Go to the top of the channel and pin comment. Become a member. Then, when you open the membership newsletter, and this was added as of the March 31st, 2022 newsletter, and every newsletter since then, it now has in there the grant. Now let's explain what it is. It's the weatherizing grant. But here's what's important for you to know. There's not one website for it at the moment. So the way it's been done at the moment is you can go to the link featured in the membership newsletter, which sends you to the national website for the federal government. Then you go to your respective state and you type in home weatherizing grant or weatherizing grant. And it'll come up. It'll say Alabama weatherizing grant, Florida weatherizing grant. And there you go. You pounce and apply. It's incredible. $6,500. And for everyone who gets their application on file, send me a private message. I'd love to hear the update on your situation across the board. Now, the second check has been live now for 5 weeks. And this has actually landed in people's hands. $15,000 to $80,000 checks. Incredible. It's again another 4 stimulus add-on. It's huge. And how do you get it? This is also for members. Open the membership newsletter, and in there, you'll see a line that says homeowners grant with more words. But for purposes of this video, I'm afraid just the homeowners grant. You click the link in the membership newsletter, and you go right in and apply at one website. It sends you the link to go to the national website that then sends you to your state. Let's go over the big money at issue in this $15,000 to $80,000. Number 1, yes, it is $15,000 to $80,000 fourth stimulus checks. Number 2, it's a grant. just like the other one, meaning you do not pay, it is not income, it's not taxable. Then, number 3, it's not a loan, it's not a credit check. Number 4, the income qualification is just like a stimulus check. Single individual, 75,000 less, you can get it. Married couple, 150,000 less, you can get it. Now, you don't double or triple it like a stimulus check because it's the whole household. Then, what's important to understand is that if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or railroad benefits, you can get as well. It is only with one last eligibility criterion. Yes, this is also for homeowners. So what do? You go into that membership newsletter. Go into that membership newsletter, open it up, and go down to where it lists that homeowner's grant and the complete name. It gives you the details of what the eligibility is, and then it gives you what the checks are for things like home repairs. Wow, incredible. Get that application on file as quickly as possible because it's been live for 5 weeks, and the money's not going to be around there indefinitely, so you want to pounce as a purple hawk. You don't want to say, what day is it landing in my bank account, because it's going to pass you by. You want to get those big checks right today. Become a member and get that incredible application on file. The average view of the channel has gotten about 66,000 or more. Again, it's tracking $15,000 to $80,000. Viewers who've gotten their application on file then get the notification it's approved, and the funding after approval is about 1 week away. The third check that is landing and paying out is that third stimulus MSC check. You got a third stimulus check last year, $1,400, but another pound of checks is available. Viewers are averaging $2,000 a month for 12 months. What is this? This is a third stimulus MSC check. And this one is for all of you. This is for renters and homeowners. It's for rent, utilities, and mortgage assistance as well. Where do you get this? Well, you're going to reach out to at least 6 places if you're a viewer. And if you're a member, I got more places in the membership newsletter. The 6 places you reach out to have these big sums of money, and they're available nationwide across the board. Yes, you need to make the effort. Yes, you need to pounce. Yes, you need to move right today. So where are you going to reach out to? Your city hall, your city house authority. Your county hall, your county house authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. Let's look at the details right now. What's important to understand is that money is available for you and you shouldn't wait. Here you go. You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city house authority, your county hall, and your county house authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. Notice those keywords. You're not saying things like MSC. You're actually saying the exact words I say in this graphic. Reach out to all 6 places, then put multiple applications on file, and then lean on those nonprofits because those nonprofits really help pay out sums of money. Become a member because they're all featured in the membership newsletter. Why is that membership newsletter important for these MSC checks? Because the membership newsletter also features nonprofits. Yes, about a half dozen nonprofits, so you'll have more places to get more sums of money. That's why membership benefits help pay for themselves. Get those nonprofits from that membership newsletter, and the viewer has gotten about $45,000 from these third MSC checks. You want to get them and not wait around. Get them today. Make the effort. The average channel of this viewer has gotten about $45,000. It's huge, and go get them. Do not wait. There you go. That is incredible details of that fourth stimulus, that third stimulus MSC check. Incredible details across the board. Now, the President of the United States addressed the American people yesterday in mentioning that $6,500 grant check by also talking about what he's doing with the situation on oil. The president announcing the release of strategic oil reserves, but was it on point or was it not? Let me go over the details of what the president said from March 31st, 2022. The president announced that he will release 1 million barrels of oil from the Federal Reserves for the next 6 months. The scale of this release is unprecedented. Then he also criticized the oil industry for sitting on land and not using that land to increase production. Is this going to work? No, it's not going to work in my opinion. Why? It's too slow, too late. 1 million barrels for the United States only is not going to solve the situation. Why? Because the situation unraveling right now because of Vladimir Putin's acts of aggression are that we can't just solve the energy situation in the United States, we also have to solve it internationally. The president's comments were a little bit disjointed during that press briefing, which is all about 6 stimulus. So let me explain to you what he said, what he didn't say, so you understand what's at issue. Six stimulus is the largest stimulus package you would see of a generation, done by the President of the United States, done by the United States, not Russia, France, and also Germany. It started day one of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Your Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, reached out to France and Germany and said, get off those Russian products. They said, we can't. We're too dependent on them. He said, you must, morally obligated. They said, okay, the way we'll do this is we will debt spend and then give stimulus to our citizens. That was then. Then the United States had that big meeting overseas in Brussels where the United States agreed to get the partner allies off of LNG, natural gas, and get it from Russia and get it from the United States through 2030. It was looking really good. That same week, the United States literally looked on the edge of the finish line with a major deal with Iran, where 1.5 million barrels of gasoline would be flooding the international markets, bringing down the price of gasoline to its lowest levels in 15 years. And then things started to unravel. The president came back from Brussels, and then around March 29th, Germany said, we're knocking off of Russian oil. Excuse me? What do you mean you're knocking off of Russian oil? Germany said we're knocking off of Russian oil. This was not the deal. Remember, the trifecta of the progressives, United States, Germany, and France, was to get a major deal in hand because they have to get off of those Russian products. Let me explain how Germany works. Germany historically does not meet our approach to economics the same way we do it. And Germany has often been in a different mindset than us for many, many years. But 2022 was not that year. 2022, you saw Germany do things they've never done for a generation, suddenly come to our side for these economic pushes. And then, middle of this week, it went back to how it always did things just last year, saying, no, we're knocking off of Russian products. Is this a death for six stimulus? No, I don't think it is. Does it cause confusion? It does cause confusion. Immediately I said, what happened to the rush to the deal for that Iranian oil? If you haven't been watching this channel, let me explain what's going on. The President of the United States had a deal for Iranian oil. It's called the JCPOA. It's been 15 years in the making. Iran has been not part of our economy for many years because of their nuclear warheads. So the JCPOA said, if you remove your nuclear warheads, your embargoes will be released, and so can we buy your oil. That deal was being negotiated by guess who? Germany and France on our behalf. And that deal was at the edge of the finish line about a week ago, where 1.5 million barrels from Iranian oil would be flooding international markets, not just the United States, and 500,000 as early as this week. That would bring the price of gasoline down to its lowest levels for a generation. So when the President of the United States addressed the American people yesterday by talking about releasing 1 million barrels a day for 6 months, I thought to myself, why? You have the Iranian deal, don't you? And I had to look, because I had not heard about the Iranian deal for about 5 days. And I found it. Not good news. EU foreign policy chief Joseph Borrell says that the deal has not passed over the finish line. The JCPOA, which is the Iranian oil deal, is not getting to an end, says Borrell, after he spoke to the European Parliament after returning from a trip after that Brussels conference. It would be a shame not to reach some sort of agreement, but we're so near to reaching one, I cannot guarantee we're within a reach. Translation: the Iranian deal that looked like it was done when the president was in Brussels is actually getting off the table. It's actually not done. That is why the president did not mention this when addressing the American people about releasing those strategic reserves. More about those strategic reserves right now. Do they work? Do those strategic reserves work? My analysis is they will not. They will not work at all for two reasons. One, when you have an item that is in short supply, whether it's wheat or gasoline, you have to increase its supply internationally, not just in the United States. For example, we have enough wheat here from our farmers, but because there's a shortage of wheat in Ukraine and Russia because of that war, then that's why the price of wheat is going up. So you can increase production of wheat as much as you want in the United States. It's not going to solve the price of it going up internationally and domestically as well because there's a shortage overseas. Same situation with oil. The president releasing oil domestically does not bring down the price of gasoline if he doesn't get the partner allies to do the same. So did the president address this during his press briefing on March 31st? He did. Did he get it right? I don't think he did. He said, and I've reached out to my partner allies to release their strategic reserves. There's a problem. Our partner allies don't have strategic reserves like we do. So what is he talking about? Italy does not have any oil strategically reserved of our magnitude. Germany doesn't either. So who is he referring to? UAE? UAE is not part of the analysis. Is he referring to Saudi Arabia? They're not part of the analysis. We're talking about France, Germany, Western allies, not Middle East allies. They don't have those strategic reserves. So the problem at issue is not really solved. What else about six stimulus? We're just getting started. How about the wheat and grain? The wheat and grain is actually getting worse. Wheat prices are growing to their highest price point of a generation because there's a shortage of wheat overseas. Yes, you can increase production domestically, but that's not going to solve the situation. Let's make this very clear. The agrarian farming industry has shrunk year after year for 85% over the last 10 years. So it's not like we're going to revert. It's not like we're going to have more farmers overnight. But let's say we could. It ain't going to fix it because we don't have wheat overseas. Again, no situation solving. And here's where it's going to potentially get worse. This is my analysis. The U.S. farmers are not making more money. Why aren't they making more money? Because while they're able to sell their wheat for more money here in the United States, because the wheat prices are at a 10-year high, they're making less profit, bottom line, because they got to drive the tractor trailer, and guess what? You know what I'm about to say. Yeah, that tractor trailer runs on oil, and that oil is too expensive. So it costs more money to harvest the wheat than it did a month ago. Also, the manure comes from Vladimir Putin because he's very big on manure, especially when he talks. I'm not joking. And so that manure price is going up. So does their cost price. So does their net profit go down. And the net result is that those farmers can charge more for the products because they're justified. And they will. And your wheat is not sustainable. The translation is an R word, recession. Recession. Wheat prices at a 10-year high. Gasoline at a 10-year high. I've told you since day one of the invasion, if the price of gasoline at where it is, $4.24 nationwide, continues to the month of May, we go into recession. If the price of bread, $6 a loaf, $7 a loaf, continues where it is, we're going into recession. And we're not even to the other parts of six stimulus that six stimulus is solve. Six stimulus is also to solve that April 4th potential default by Vladimir Putin. $2 billion principal repayment. Ouch. He doesn't make it, which I don't think he is going to. Our U.S. banks are going to potentially take a hit if they have exposure to that Russian default. Perhaps they bought some Russian debt or they bought some Russian equities. Oh boy, it's bad news. So, as the analysts said, and as I said earlier in this video, is the White House and Jay Powell choosing inflation over recession? Those analysts and I believe that Jay Powell has made his decision. Reduce inflation, and if it causes recession, then it causes recession. Here's my part of the analysis as well. I do believe that Jay Powell's made that determination. I think he's coming in too strong on those interest rates, and that strong push on that interest rates may cause a problem for that SS300. But here's what I think is happening. I think we are in recession. I think we are in recession right now. The numbers on the housing market. The numbers in the housing market show recession. It looks like it's inverted. Number one, the housing starts down 4 consecutive months. The mortgage rates at the highest level in nearly 40 years. People cannot afford a 5% mortgage rate. And if you want to repair the home, then the cost to repair the home, like lumber, still at a very high level. Supply chain. It is recessionary. And a lot of people think that the housing market's already in a bubble that is about to burst. It is upside down. Number two, the inversion curve, which shows that a shorter note like a 5 to 30, the 5 is paying more than the 30-year note, doesn't make sense. That signals we're in recession already. Last time the inversion of a shorter of the notes happened, 2006, we were in a recession. That's number two. Number three, we have these major supply chain issues. Number four, I'm looking at these unemployment numbers, folks, and those unemployment numbers show that people are losing their jobs and that the unemployment number is not going down as much as people think. Now, it's not going up. It's not getting worse. But if you look at other things like car sales, they had the biggest slump in nearly 10, 15 years in the last 6 months. So everyone bought a car last year and everyone this year is not buying a car. Why? Yeah. What does this mean when the American people understand it? It's called consumer confidence. And this is why, if consumer confidence falls apart and yet the economy is good and their bank account is good, they don't spend. If someone's watching this video and say, I started by watching this video thinking I was pretty confident about this economy, and now I'm watching the video, I'm like, I'm no longer confident in this economy. That's a loss of consumer confidence. Sorry I did that to you. Sorry I did that to you. But that is what loss of consumer confidence is. And if you lose consumer confidence, and you have everything else, then you really have a recession. My takeaway on the analysis tonight is that you want to get all these checks that are available right now. You don't want to wait. And the good news is that for some reason, while I don't think Jay Powell is doing what he should be doing, Joe Biden is doing some good stuff in the last 5 weeks. He's looking to build back better, and he's clearly understanding, can I take this out? I'm not even guessing this. Brian Deese says it. Brian Deese says the president's looking ways to get people out money. He actually said that. That's the quote. So it's good. So whatever you're doing, your social media tweets is working. Whatever you're doing with your calls is working because Joe Biden understands Build Back Better is not a law. Let me see how I can get out checks to people. Here's what you need to know. You ain't going to see this anywhere else. You ain't going to see this in prime time anywhere else. You ain't going to see this on your financial channel. You're not going to see this anywhere else. And this is why you stay ahead of the curve. Because when it goes out, it doesn't stay there indefinitely. The $15,000 to $80,000 checks, 5 weeks, but it was featured on this channel the first day it went live. The big new check, $6,500, now we're into it a few days, few hours. It's not going to be around forever. You are pouncing already across the board. The MSC checks, that money for third stimulus is going to run out eventually. That's why you're pouncing so quickly. And you need to. For any day that you wait and say, you know what, maybe when is... No. I need you to focus. I don't want you to be focusing on something in the horizon. I want you to focus on the present. I want you to focus on what's available right now and get it. Once you get it, then you can focus on what's next. And that is, of course, what's covered in this video. I cover everything from present to the next few weeks to the next early months. We're focusing on the checks available right now in the month of April. We're focusing on the things happening later in April, the things happening in May. But I want to start by saying you get the money available now. You don't wait across the board. So become a member. The link is at the top of the chat and pinned comment. The membership newsletter, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, delivered via the YouTube alert system. It's not by Weibo check, not by email, not by handshake or smoke signals or pigs on the beach, or sirloin on the beach, or sirloin and a pig on the beach. None of the above. It's delivered by the YouTube alert system. Go to the front of the channel, hit that bell, and make sure all your alerts are turned on, and so you get these big sums of money. It's a big day with so many details coming up, and they are heating up tonight in evenings LA in prime time. It's America's most watched show in prime time, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for making our new tester show. It's a test show called LALATE Live a big hit. It airs overnight on this channel, and it may, in fact, even feature this video. It features the breaking news of the day, so if you miss it throughout the day or throughout the night, you can tune in and jump into a live show. It is LALATE Live, and I want to see you in that live chat, and share it with your friends and family. Tell them to come over. Like the video, share it, tell people to sign up, and tell people to become subscribers and members. And with that, I look forward to seeing you tonight in prime time. It's 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We'll go over more about the details that unfolded today, and they're going to unfold in the next few hours as we go into a big day with a lot of money. From the shores of Santa Monica to the shores of the Black Sea, as month 2 of the Ukraine-Russian war continues, the impact on the U.S. economy continues as well. Of all that breaking news tonight, as Evenings LA heats up in prime time at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. See you then, and see you daily on LALATE.